What is up, you guys? We are back again today with another post from the Neville subreddit. And this one today, this one is all about how to apply this law that we talk about, the law of assumption. The law of attraction, law of assumption, whatever you want to call it, you're really talking about the same thing. I know that people differentiate and talk about the differences between them, but in my opinion, and I've heard other people that talk about this as well, you're really using your attention and awareness to create what it is that you want. So without further ado, here is the post. All that is required to manifest your desire is for you to have a fixed attention on the fulfillment of it. Of it already being so, you must be aware of where your attention is. You need to be conscious of who you are being at any given moment. Not 5 minutes before sleep or 5 minutes during meditation, at all times. If you want your ex back, you have to be consciously aware of already being in a relationship with him or her. If you want a certain amount of money, you have to be consciously aware of having it already. With the use of imagination and affirmations, you need to build a stable feeling that you can tap into at any given moment. If you cannot feel yourself into your desired state for more than a few seconds, your attention span is either fucked or you haven't familiarized yourself with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Go back to your imagination and familiarize yourself with the version of you who is experiencing your desire. Teach your body what the fulfillment of the desire would feel like. Manifestation is being this person now. That means sustaining the feeling. The only obstacle is the resistance you feel when you are this person. It can be anything: doubts, fears, memories, low self-esteem, whatever it is. You have to accept these feelings and let them flow. As soon as you start to feel uncomfortable, feel it. Be present. Allow the feeling/thought to be there. Label it as energy in your body. Accept it and let it fade away. I cannot do this for you. You have to commit to this. The more you do it, the better you will become. Secondly, you are not trying to manifest anything in the 3D world. Your goal is to have your desire in imagination only. You need to build a stable feeling from within without expecting anything to change in your 3D world. When you make this shift in perspective, you will feel far less resistance. Absolutely. I'm going to repeat this again. You are not trying to manifest anything in the 3D world. Your goal is to have that desire in imagination only. You need to build a stable feeling from within without expecting anything to change in the 3D worlds. In other words, you're not waiting for this change to happen to then allow yourself to feel good. You have to allow yourself to feel those feelings first. When you're fulfilled internally, living in the having state, the law of correspondence will take care of making it happen in the 3D. Don't try to predict how it's going to happen, and don't resist anything that is presented in the 3D. It's a shadow of your inner world imagination. Hope this helps. Best, Daniel. And this is really one way of explaining something that the mind has been able to logically understand perhaps, but a lot of us on this path are not internalizing it, or we're not applying this information. And that's the biggest problem. And it is easy to slip out of that state, to slip out. You feel the state of the wish fulfilled. You feel those emotions, but then something happens in the 3D. Something happens that throws it off. You get some bad news. You have some weird thing occurs, and now you're back into that state, that fearful, anxious, worrying state. And it's all about gently directing that attention back. And I like what is described here as you're not identifying with this. It's that feeling in the body. Let's see here. And Mochi the cat over there is chomping away, so that's why there is that noise in the background here. And So yes, the resistance when you feel this. Allow the thought and feeling to be there. And you can see it, label it as an energy in your body. Now, I at one point I worked with this woman who was doing she's like a coach, but she also she guided me throughout this process to label that energy so that we're not identifying with it. And for her, she described it as being a black energy and allowing it to release, because if we're fighting against it, then that's creating more tension in our body, right? And now I recently put out that video with Melissa Basie, the psychologist, and she also has a similar approach where she's talking about the parts of yourself and allowing you speaking to the parts of yourself so that you are able to then again disidentify with that feeling. You're not identifying with it. It's not you. It is a part of you, maybe, or it could be that black energy, or you visualize it as something and you're allowing it to kind of dissipate and leave the body. Because again, what you resist persists if you're fighting against it, and that's a whole nother discussion that can easily take a whole nother video about that. In fact, it could be tons of time discussed, but that is something that's true. When you realize that the more that you fight against something, you're giving it more attention and you're creating more of that in your life. So we have a couple comments here. I'm going to read a couple of them because I think they also add a little bit of insight into this conversation. So here it is. So the thing is that once you reach the satisfied feeling of fulfillment, you have to maintain that attitude. Neville gives the example of wearing it like a fragrance that you carry all day. I don't know why people complicate it so much. It doesn't matter how you get to that state of mind, whether it's SAT, scripting, etc. Just get the feeling that you have it in the 4D and leave it at that. You won't even notice the days or months pass by, not that it should take months, because it won't feel like it's far from you, but instead with you. The minute you start looking at the 3D for confirmation, the mind will spiral out of control and you've lost the battle. And that's a great way of saying that. I mean, and imagining it can really be helpful. Yeah, it's something that you carry throughout the day, much like a fragrance. You carry that feeling with you. You don't forget about it. You don't then revert back to your old state, which is, oh, well, I just need to do this. I just need to do, that anxiety-ridden state. So we have another comment. Can you tell me why one day I feel amazing, I feel my wish is real here and now, and the next day I feel like shit? Am I delulu? Is that normal? I feel so disappointed that yesterday I felt it real, and today I feel huge resistance and I'm forcing everything. It's not natural, ? You shouldn't force it either. It's about persuasion and not coercion here. I hate how simple I'll say this. People don't like simplicity because they think you should work hard for something. But the reason why the next day you still feel like the old man is because you haven't saturated your subconscious enough. You ever noticed when you learn a new word, on the first day you're like, cool, I memorized it, but the next day you fail to remember the meaning of the new word. So you go back to the dictionary. Eventually, reading the word and its definition over and over will make you remember it. Same thing here. You need to affirm more or visualize more, whatever your forte is. After a while, it becomes second nature to know it's enough and that is needed, done, over, true. Well, actually, it's not persuasion, it's a decision, somebody says. God does not persuade anyone, God decides. Once you focus on persuasion, you give your power away to whatever you're persuading. Whatever you're shown in the 3D world is a world of decision. Again, this person, I think, is splitting hairs here, and they're not really, in my opinion, contributing anything useful to the conversation. I like the idea of persuading your own self to believe something because, again, we have different parts of ourselves. We might have that part of ourselves that does believe it's possible for us, and we might have the other part of ourselves that is the doubts in our ear, right? And really what it can be is you just gently saying you know what? No, there is no reason why this can't happen. Look, this person has done it here. There's evidence of it being possible here. And it's about that gentle approach with yourself. Because if you're creating these other rules, no, it has to be a hard decision. No, it has to be this. No, it has to be, I really think that can honestly, you're then allowing yourself to kind of get in your own way. It's really about the energy behind it. So it's not as much, you can use language as a tool, but really It's about getting that in that aligned state, in that calm state, that calm positive expectation. And I do think that in certain cases it can be helpful, but if you're creating these hard rules around it, it's easy to then slip into that frustrated energy. It's easy to then slip into those extremes on the pendulum, like I've been talking about in some other videos. So anyways, guys, I thought that this was a great post. A lot of it is just hearing what we need to hear, because sometimes repetition is really necessary, especially with us being conditioned to be so reactionary to the 3D. So I like the way that this was summed up in this post, and I do think it is worthwhile to absorb and take the information in this way that it's being described. With that being said, guys, there's other comments here that I could read, but I think that pretty much sums it up. Drop me a like, drop me a comment, and hit me with a subscribe if you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about it, also, I will be answering them in the comments below. Much love, and I will see you guys in the next one.